Okay, let's see.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Shiva. I'm back at the State House with our team from Boston. We went in and we found out that there's essentially the state of the state that they're getting ready for. Nothing appears to be going on. But I'm going to do a series of videos later, about 4 of them, but I just wanted to give you a scientific overview or a perspective on the victory in New Jersey and what are the 4 lessons that were learned here. As many of you know, since I started participating in this movement, we started articulating some very, very important points that come from science, political science, and history that we think is extremely important. And most importantly, the movement in New Jersey fully embraced many of those important attributes. So let's go through them very slowly. I'll do a more detailed one later, but the first lesson is that you build a groundswell of a mass movement that is revolutionary, that is fierce, that is independent of any of the establishment political parties, Republicans or Democrats, any of the big organizations, and you build it bottoms up by everyday working people. This movement had that feature. It was working mothers, families, fathers who came out there. They took time off from their day. They lost money. Many of us, by the way, none of our crew here gets paid anything. We're not part of some organization that flew in here, was funded. There are some people like that in the movement, and we should be aware of that. But bottom line is, this movement was built bottoms up by people. It was ferocious, it roared, and it had its own independent element. So the key thing is an independent movement. Now, one of the weaknesses was, we noticed when the movement ended last night, a lot of people left Trenton. One of our guys met an Uber driver and he said he wished he had known about the rally, and he's right here in Trenton. So in the future, we need to go across a broad mass of people among the community and also bring those people in. But the great thing about this movement, it was big, it was bottoms up, it wasn't relying on particular parties, etc. First lesson, build a broad-based movement. Second lesson was that we started seeing what was specifically an attribute here that was different than the failures in California and New York, was people breaking away from bowing down and kowtowing down to legislators. There are people, and you can see who they are, who failed in California, some of them who flew in here, who failed in New York, telling us, oh, be nice to the legislators. Let's remember principle number 2. We are the customers. They are our service providers. I'll repeat that again. We are the customers. They are our service providers. And the more we build that mass movement and demand what we want, which is a squeaky wheel always gets the oil, that's when they respond. They're not going to respond to, some people have this illusion, oh, be nice, don't attack Sweeney. Well, if you're listening, you guys don't know how to build movements, and the people in New Jersey showed how you built it the New Jersey way, the dirty New Jersey way, which is we build it bottoms up, and we don't give our power away to legislators. They serve us. Let's get that very, very clear. And anyone in this movement saying that, watch out for them. They don't know what they're talking about, or they're part of the establishment. Number 3, that is extremely important, is the science. One of the greatest things we did here, and I believe that it was important that someone like me, an MIT PhD, didn't, sell out to the scientific establishment. I came out on the ground. We started running many, many scientific educational seminars. From our estimates, at least 1 million to 2 million people across this country, probably not only in New Jersey, saw our educational seminars in some form or the other, the modern immune system. We held, some of you may know, the first international conference on vaccine safety. 600 people showed up because we recognized that the issue was risk assessment, vaccine safety, and that in the age of personalized medicine, one size does not fit all. And we did some very short, nice videos that all of you could share. It was great to hear people saying, Dr. Shiva, that video convinced my husband. Or Dr. Shiva, we brought my family along. So we need to do the science, and we need to do the broad education among all people. So when Mr. Sweeney says that he wants to bring in medical experts, great, bring them on in, but bring Dr. Shiva in, who's actually one of the renowned scientists in the world of precision medicine. Let's bring all the people in. Let's talk about the modern immune system. So science. And the 4th attribute of the system, which we need to talk about, it's unfortunately an unfriendly topic to talk about, but we must talk about it. No censorship, no segregation. Look, I have experienced the caste system in India, but in this own movement, even up until a few hours ago last evening, I experienced a segregation in the caste system of some of the quote unquote misleadership in this movement. Same guys who failed in California, the same guys who failed in New York, when new guys like me and we brought in other people, they're scared of us. They're scared of the revolutionary forces which believe in people. These same people were out here corralling people, telling people what to do. They were trying to tell me what videos I could put out, what I couldn't put up. And after the meeting, they had a nice big dinner. Okay, we were not invited to it. And we saw them over at the Cheesecake Factory, and some of you know who I'm talking about. And we came in, there was like a silence. There wasn't the friendliness that we'd seen among the crowd out here. So what I want to tell you is no segregation, no to the caste system that people in this own movement try to do. No one owns this movement. This movement is not a business for someone to make media money out of. This is not for some people to fly in, get paid in their private planes. This is a movement by the people, for the people. And I will not allow, because I believe in building a broad-based movement, anyone to believe that they're going to segregate people, tell people what to do, censor people. That is what they want us to do. And that is why we built this movement, because censorship and the violation of freedom is why we even got here. And anyone in this movement who tries to segregate people, tell people to stay away from those people, tries to corral people, it's not going to be allowed. Not on my watch, not on your watch. Anyway, let's build the movement. Let's escalate the movement. We're going to be here until about 12:30, and then we're heading back up to Boston. And let's build the movement there too, because the same fight is going to occur there. Anyway, be well. By the way, some of you guys may know I'm running for U.S. Senate. If you want to help the movement there, help us out. But health, truth, and freedom are going to be key components of that movement. Thank you very much, Dr. Shiva. I'm going to be here until 12:30. Bye-bye.
All right. Good morning. Doing another live here. I have not done lives as often as I used to do lives. And a lot of that does have to do with, well, first of all, that was Dr. Shiva, who has been, they say he's like a new face to the movement. I'm not 100% on his backstory. I also haven't like cared to go dive into it. I've seen his lectures and I think he's wonderful the way he presents himself and he has the science to back it. So I think he is a crucial part in the movement. Once again, right, delivery is open to criticism and all of that, which is another big reason why I have not been as vocal in the movement. I mean, I haven't really been doing as many lives. For those who've been following for a while, you know, I used to do like 3 to 4 lives a week, and there's just so much that's going on lately, you know, that has really like rubbed me the wrong way. And it's just a lot of the time, at the end of the day, a lot of it is like, for what, you know, what for? And again, at the kids, right, for the babies and for the voiceless, but it's hard. It's really, it's taxing all around. So I didn't really want to get into, obviously he's not dropping names, but I think he made his point clear in how a lot of us feel and what I've been preaching for a while now, which is that there are no leaders. You need to take things upon yourself. There was a group of ladies in Hawaii who wanted to advocate in their own little way, and apparently one of the .orgs out that way, which I won't name, told them no, that they were like, no, we advise against that. Or it's almost like, who are you? People don't need your permission. I understand rallying together, and I understand, you know, having, I guess in everything, like I've been saying for a while now, you just got to use discernment, you know, when it comes to people. And there are organizations that I'll support, and then there's some that I just like, not that I don't support, I just won't really have anything to do with them or any say in that. So, and I just feel like I have to get this out there. It's really been weighing on me, and I'm like, ready to just kind of take all of this off. I do my silent advocacy work on the ground often, that it's not on social media for people to see. I plan on being at the Women's March in Los Angeles, because I feel like that is a great place to plant seeds. There's a lot of women that are going to be out there screaming, "My body, my choice," and without realizing that they actually have rights that are being removed from them, and that it's very hypocritical to be saying "my body, my choice" and not, So I think that what happened in New Jersey recently was incredible, and I think that if it was really discouraging and disheartening. I won't continue to call California one big failure. I mean, they had to take California and learn from what they did in California. They had, you know what I mean? Like, California had to be, like, unfortunately, a crappy blueprint, and blue being the key word. And they had to take what happened there and go, well, we need to do things differently, which is the way you go about stuff, right? You learn from the mistakes of others. That is what the grassroots of this movement is. It's, if you're not willing to listen to other parents and believe mothers and believe fathers, learn from their mistakes and what they did wrong, then what is this? What are we doing? I know that California had a lot of faults, and I mean, I used to live in California, and when they got rid of their religious exempts, and for me at the time, it was like talking to a wall. I shared those posts from almost 5 years ago, not to just showcase like, oh, look, I've been doing no, it was to showcase that frustration of, I used to have these posts on Facebook and I'd get 1 or 2 likes. The comments that would come in would be mean, oh, you don't have a right, you don't have a say in this, you're not a doctor. And I'm like, I don't need to be a doctor to show you a bill that's being proposed that is going to infringe on religious freedoms. So I was already getting that from so long ago. So when I say that it's something that I've dealt with for a while, really, it weighs on me and it's taxing. And I'm only in this and only so vocal and loud for those that are new here because of 2 precious children that were close to my family, and I have had to live with what the system has done to them, because it's not just the family, the immediate family, that gets affected, right? It is everyone else. It is cousins that don't get to grow up with cousins. It is a nephew or a niece that you lost a relationship with. It's a grandchild that is never going to have a relationship with a grandparent. It destroys families. And often that is why I do get so passionate and heated over this topic. So going by what he said, I liked a lot of his points. I think that there is something to be said for organization, like being somewhat organized. But then there's also something to be said for, there is no right way to do this. What happened in New Jersey too, unfortunately, people had to get dirty about it. People had to remind these senators that they work for the people. Discouraging much at the end of the day, like just the next legislative session, they can propose some other garbage, right? And that's exactly it. I mean, Gaddy, sorry, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but when you said California is a very difficult state, the culture is impossible to break through and change by one person, you're right. People need to just care, which is why I don't have a problem. We're all going to deliver a message differently, right? That analogy or that famous meme of the guy who's on the horse yelling like the British are coming. You could say it in that way where you're yelling and then you got to run off and warn the next house, or you can like approach the door and just knock gently and be like, hey guys, so the British are coming and they're going to like try to kill us all. So whatever way you like to hear the message, that's fine. And so if you're in the movement and you are planting seeds, then that's wonderful. Continue planting those seeds, you know. The only time I ever don't trust anyone is if there is a history of like corruption or fraud at play. That's the only time where I'm gonna say, yeah, maybe I'll just step back on that one. I don't want anything to do with that because there's that history and it just doesn't look good, especially if you're in charge of finances. But other than that, it's really sad lately because there's a lot of people who feel, you know, you're seeing a lot of these accounts popping up, right? We don't know if they're trolls. We don't know what they are, but there's a lot of attack going on lately within this quote unquote movement, which is just annoying to even have to say. But I'm sure a lot of you have noticed that, right? They're attacking people based on just their past. Now, if you're going after someone for their past because, hey, this person who's currently in the movement who's asking for money, well, they have a past of like swindling people. Well, that's one thing. That's obviously like a little bit concerning. But people aren't even able to differentiate someone's past of like they had a DUI 10 years ago. So what does that have to do with them caring about medical freedom for children? Like they should be able to talk, which I'm noticing is it's getting harder and harder for people to want to speak out because they're afraid. Look at how a lot of these accounts are going after others and attacking them. Admittedly, I have thought very often in recent weeks here of just walking away from the movement entirely. Not that I don't give a crap all of a sudden about medical freedom, but just to get off these kind of platforms because look at what is happening. I mean, my gosh, you put your face out there, you're screen recorded, you're mocked, you know, it's already a lot to do that. And I can't stress this enough. My kids are okay and my family's going to be okay because we have our things in order. So I don't need to sit on here and continue to do this and put myself out there for attacks like this because it continuously happens. And I have to get this out there, you know, that is the reason why there's so many anonymous accounts popping up left and right. And it's because many of you who want to get involved in the movement and want to speak out and have great posts and great content, many of you are afraid because you're seeing how other people are being treated, how dirty and nasty things are getting. So I have to get this out there because people are under the impression that I have beef with like every anonymous account. I don't care who you follow. I don't care who you donate to, okay? You do what you want with your time, with your money, whatever. These were my only issues to begin with, okay? If you're going to be anonymous, to me, I understand the reasons to be anonymous, okay? You know that this is a dangerous fight. You have seen that pharma themselves have gone after doctors, have gone after scientists. They've gone after parents, you know, they've shut people down. They've literally silenced people. So it's a dangerous fight. And that I understand, okay? It's unnerving. It's unsettling to put your face out there. They've gone after these people who already have financial means to protect themselves, okay? And when I say the word they, I'm talking about the powers that be, right? Pharma. And so if you wish to create an anonymous account in this movement to spread awareness for medical freedom, you know, that's fine. The only issues I had are when these accounts turned and made their accounts about slandering others. That's the only time I had an issue. And I'm not even going to mention these accounts right now, but I can tell you how initially things started. This time last year, I only had about 30 people watching my lives. I only had about 5,000 followers, and my account was private. And yes, there is a difference between a private account and an anonymous account, because this is the difference. You see this? This is my face. I'm using my own personal avatar in this movement. I'm literally risking. And so this is where I take issue. Months and months ago, you had anonymous accounts that were popping up. Some are great, honestly. Like, I love how the Alani Project does it. There's a lot of great, Believe Mothers, just the, even the way that they set up their pages. They look so beautiful. They're very well done. And I had no issues with that. When something struck a chord in me was I was following an anonymous account that put out really great content. And a lot of the things that they were talking about were things that I was very interested in, like legalese, just claiming back your own sovereignty, until one day they did a post where they decided, I'm just going to go after people and call out with no proof controlled opposition within the movement. They didn't list my name. Like, this is what's interesting about this. They didn't even mention me. They mentioned other activists that I admired, that I thought were doing great for the movement. And it was a very slanderous post. So that didn't strike a chord well with me. And I decided to just block a lot of these accounts. Okay, that's what I decided to do. It was a personal decision that I had made. And since then, I have been, with that gut reaction that I had, I can continuously get proven correct in my decision to do so. Because while there are great anonymous accounts out there, and I'm thankful for you, and a lot of you have reached out to me and you've let me know, like, hey, this was my other account. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I'm saying it was nice that you took that extra step to do that because you understood where I was coming from. But it was this bad pattern that I started noticing, where accounts that would start up with really good intentions, they had one main platform, let's call it medical freedom, right? Once a following was then garnered, like a couple thousand people, it was time to now start attacking other activists. And a masked account claiming certain people were controlled opposition while they're masked, it just doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me. So that's what it led to. And I gotta say this, the irony in using anonymity, okay? Using that excuse of anonymity to protect yourself because you're so afraid of what could happen to you because of the powers that be, and, I don't want them going after my family. The irony in using that excuse and then going after mothers in this movement who are actually showing face. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that. You're slandering people for what? Difference of opinion on various other topics? What are you using your account for then in that case? This is where I have issues. And I feel like most people who could understand what me, along with a bunch of other mothers out there who have put their face onto things, who have spoken out, I think that it shouldn't be a hard concept to grasp. The levels of uncomfort, that's going to be where you're not going to find me backing down. You want to use your medical freedom account to insult and attack even products and supplements while you're simultaneously offering supplements and products on your own that is when I will call these accounts out on this hypocritical bullshit. And you have something to say about someone that has nothing to do with the platform that you created. It's like, ball up, remove the mask, and say that to my face. Or you can sit down and hide like the coward you are, because you're not using your platform anymore for medical freedom. I'm sorry. And I feel like that's quite obvious for everybody else sitting back and watching. It's cowardice and it's shameful. So I don't think all anonymous accounts behave this way. Once again, there's many that I actually admire, and I think that that's awesome. They're sticking to a message. But when I said months ago that I don't want anything to do with these accounts and that they made me uncomfortable, it is because one of them's sole focus initially was vaccines, right? Then they decided to start screen recording, mocking me on their account when I was talking about what? The lies in the skies. Okay, so you don't believe that there are lies in the skies. So you don't believe your own eyeballs and you don't care for my opinion on that topic. What does that have to do again with your stance in medical freedom? I'm very concerned. You really think that the government is corrupt with just the one topic? Because many of us don't. Many of us go down the rabbit hole of vaccines, and there's no way out that rabbit hole. We go down everything else, and I have so much more that I want to talk about and want to express, and the nerve of some of these accounts that love to throw out terms like controlled opposition. You know what controlled opposition does ultimately? Silences people. You know what your continuous attack-like posts on other activists in this movement while you remain masked? You know what that does to people like me? It silences people. So you're making other people way too afraid to speak up on topics that matter, and you're literally the reason why there are swarms of other anonymous accounts popping up left and right, because people are too afraid to be mocked and ridiculed by the likes of you. If I haven't made my point clear, you do not get to continuously use your anonymous account to take personal digs on mothers and fathers in this movement who are risking more than you by showing face. You see this? I'm using my own personal avatar. I got more at stake in this. I'm risking more than you are in this. And it's not easy. You know what it's like? Knowing that people are laughing at you, mocking you, screen recording you behind your back, and they're supposed to be on your team. I got so swamped yesterday and in the last few days, honestly, and I got to some very just dark, depressing stages because of SB 277, Jeff and I had to uproot our entire family, our businesses, everything. We took a huge financial hit to leave California in order to be a part of this movement and still continue to speak out, even though I had already lost friends, family members, clients. And by lost, I mean they just didn't want anything to do with me. They already disassociated themselves from me, okay? To be mocked online constantly by pro-vax troll groups, and then to be ultimately treated in this kind of dirty way by people who are supposed to be on my same team. It takes such a hit on you as a person. And it's not easy. And I know that I'm tough and I could take a lot. And honestly, with a lot of the things that get sent to me from these accounts that take the time to go and mock others, I chose to use that as a learning tool for my children, especially my daughter who recently went through cyberbullying. And I wanted to show her, look, it's going to continuously happen. Mommy is already 30-something, and look at what happens here too. There are people who will hide, create accounts. They can't even put their face out there. And I just chose to use it as a lesson for her, just so she understands, you know. But I honestly thought, I guess I could have sat back and sat on an Instagram and, did lives and begged for donations. I didn't want to do that to stay in this movement. So I honestly thought that taking the higher road was teaming up with companies that I actually liked. I liked their products. They were fine with my message because, as many of you know, there's so many of these jobs out there that you can't speak the way you want to speak. You can't say things that are with controversial topics. HR teams will be on your ass. They'll fire you, or they'll at least give you a notice. So we had to creatively do other things in order to fund me continuing to do this. And I thought, shame on me. I thought that was taking the higher road, I guess, But then to take 10 steps back, it's like you're really damned if you do and you're damned if you don't in this movement sometimes, you realize that most of these direct sales and MLMs are actually funding half this movement. They're keeping parents home. They're taking people away from that matrix. They're allowing a lot of families to have financial stability. Say what you want about them, okay? I also had issues with them in the beginning because it was a lot of that, like, sounds too good to be true. Until I literally have met hundreds of parents at this point. A lot of them I meet face to face. They tell me what product that they're with and what they're doing, and that it's literally financing them and their life. And whether I like the product they're using or not, I have no say in that. I don't even care. But some people really care. You know, you want a product, you buy it. Okay, that's the exchange. There's no gimmicks. And we chose companies that literally will refund you your money back if the product doesn't work. But you know what? You'll have these anonymous accounts that will shit on products that they don't even use themselves while offering up a different product. It's like, that's what they're using. And then you're following along and you're going, I thought that this was like your medical freedom account, you know? And it blows my mind. Like, here's a concept. If you don't like a product, don't use it. Don't use it. I could spend an entire day on here talking about all the supplements and the products that I've personally tried that I don't like, that don't work for me, that don't work for my family, that I actually got bad reactions from. But I don't have the time to do that, and I see that it is working for other people, so I just like back away. Like, okay, cool, just because that type of cilantro thing didn't work for me and made me work, doesn't mean that it's not working for other people. Like, I don't understand. You know what? It's a lot of this, like, common sense is not so common thing, and tact is gone completely. But I'd rather talk about the things that I love, that I think that work, versus bad-mouthing other products, you know, because that's never been a good look. That's never been a good upsell. Some people think it's a good upsell. But imagine being involved in a movement like this, or in a, you know, topic like this for over a decade. Imagine that hate that you're already receiving from the pro-vax side, only to move mountains to try to raise awareness and educate for free with zero expectations. No expectations I've ever had on here. And what more do people like that want from someone like me? That's how my side behaves. That's how the supposed anti-vaccine side behaves. This is why so many people are quitting. It's really the final time that I want to address accounts like this. I know a lot of you guys are sending me the screenshots, and you're doing it because you care. You're doing it because, you know, I know you're coming from a good place, but honestly, anyone sending me something from an anonymous account that has something to say about me or any other activist, and they're slandering other people in this movement, and you're waiting for a response from me, I do not want to respond to cowards. I just don't. If your purpose to remain anonymous is truly for your protection, if it's truly for your protection, then how on God's green earth can you take personal hits on other people in the same movement? What does that say about you? You can attack me all you want. I get attacked often by the other side, but attack them. I mean, attack the message, right? Attack the message. Go after the message, and then we can have a discourse on the message. We all will do that differently anyway. We're all going to be delivering it differently anyway. There's no right way to tell somebody that the house is burning. I mean, you got accounts on here right now that are digging up people's pasts and personal histories, and they're slandering them all over social media. And my 2 cents on the matter is this. Is this person that's being slandered accused of theft and conning other people in this movement? Are they being accused of actually going after vaccine-injured families and taking advantage? If the answer is yes, that's an alarm, and that's a little bit concerning. Okay, I still don't really want a say in it, you know? I just will do what I can, which is sit back and just not throw my money that way. But if the answer is no, then what is the accusation? Some of these are like, how low are some of these accusations going to get to at one point? Unpaid parking tickets? Rehab maybe in the past? I mean, what does that have to do with them being a parent and involving themselves in a cause worth fighting for? Like, the only time I care is if vax-injured families are being further swindled. That's the only time I'd care. But please learn the difference between the two. There's definitely two kinds of people, okay? And not everybody's controlled opposition. Know the difference between someone who's controlled opposition and somebody who's just an opportunist. It's just... I'm blown away by the treatment in that. And so anyway, I feel like I just had to address that because people are misconstruing that, like, oh, Talia just doesn't trust any anonymous accounts. I don't trust anonymous accounts that will use their platforms to slander other people while hiding behind a mask. Those are the ones that I'd rather just not have to deal with. If you don't mind. Is that okay? Is that okay with some of you? Like, do I need that permission from some of you? That makes me uncomfortable? Anyway, a lot of these recent events just putting a bad taste in my mouth, putting a bad taste in a lot of your mouths, right? And it's just making a lot of us want to shut up. Because it's easy. I could, with everything I've gathered, I could jump off of this and I could just start an anonymous account. I could do that and just continue to put out information. I just feel like I'd rather use what I've got to wake others in person some days and just use the online presence more for helping other moms and dads, perhaps, like, assist them in exiting out of the matrix as well. But, anyway, puts a damper in everything. And I feel like I like the message that Shiva had earlier today. I likely won't agree with everything he says. Go figure, right? We don't agree with everything that somebody says. What a shocker there. But I like his sentiments on you can't wait for, like, leadership to tell you what to do. I really like that New Jersey took it upon themselves and they didn't need permission. I heard that there were people out there that were, like, trying to run the show, and there's no show to be run. This is a circus. Okay, we're dealing with the pharmaceutical industry. They don't give a shit. They don't. Did you see the recent proposal? Like, your mainstream media too, and that's why I had to share some of those articles because they all look the same. So I'm sorry, moving on to another topic already. That one just like, these articles that come out that continuously talk about that we're all focused on the protests and the rallying that were happening in New Jersey. They all have the same words, right? Like, they're all using pretty much the same words and just regurgitating it, and their words are a little bit unnerving. Like, a lot of it is really unsettling because when you read these articles from the mainstream media, you understand that they're definitely not on your side. And then you see the posts from your news, like what I posted last night. Clearly, I'm still, like, in my pajamas here, you guys. And it's maddening, right? What is this? They want to now fine parents, or they're proposing possibly fining parents. So what are you trying to say? Coercion, extortion, fining parents for not vaccinating. So only the rich once again can afford it. Because if you have the means, you're just going to pay the fine, right? And what does that say? If you could just pay a fine to opt out of vaccinating your kid, then is your kid really that much of a public health threat? If it takes just copping up some money, it's insane. So once again, they're talking about the caste system. They're talking about the difference, like, if you can afford private schools, then you don't have to vaccinate your kids. If you can afford to pay this fine, then you don't have to vaccinate your kids. So only the rich are going to be able to do this. And the ones who have to continue to get the poison shots are going to be the poor. And people aren't really talking about that. That's been what's happening in Australia. And from, I've spoken on this before. I think a lot of it has to do with you have to take away their means, the citizens' means to protect themselves first. Do I think that can happen in a country like America that's so gun happy? Yeah, I honestly do. Not that I think it can happen tomorrow, but I think it can happen in our near future. You guys realize what they're teaching children in schools nowadays, right? They're teaching them vaccines are good. They're teaching them guns are bad. And these children are going to grow up to be the next voters. They're going to be you know what I mean? Our kids are growing up currently thinking that there's more than two genders, that guns are evil. It's not the evil person behind the gun. That's what they're teaching them. My kids have already had like 5 different, what are they called? What are those drills called nowadays? Active shooter drills. So they've already had a bunch of those. And so they're already conditioning the kids to expect that there's just going to be an evil person that's going to come with a gun. And they're making these kids really afraid of these guns. So it's very discouraging because as you've seen with what's happening in California too, need I remind you, they've made it legal now for 17-year-olds to vote. So don't think for 2 seconds that your politicians aren't going to be rallying in high schools come next fall to getting these seniors to register to vote, and not only register to vote, but register to vote in a way that is guns are bad, vaccines are good. So these are going to be our new voters. And initially I didn't really care for the TikTok thing. I feel like it's a terrible app. Children should not be on it, but I can't help that. There's way too many children on it. There's a bunch of tweens on this app. So there's a lot of people in this movement that are creating TikTok accounts to combat, because right now, you know what else is on this app? A bunch of doctors. There's a bunch of doctors on this app, an app called TikTok, where they're using their TikTok videos to educate people on vaccines and that they're good. So I understand there's a lot of activists that are like, I don't want to get this app, but I feel like I need to put a presence on there because we have to be able to teach these kids. Like, a lot of these kids are bouncing off platforms like Facebook and Instagram, and they're just on there. So they're turning it into that, which I'm going to find really interesting if TikTok all of a sudden has censorship, because they don't currently, but they're allowing doctors to put out a lot of this, what we know to be misinformation. They're literally just there saying you have to get vaccinated, vaccines save lives, without having to prove any instance in history where a vaccine has actually saved someone's life or made anybody healthier. So I think I applaud you if you're on there. I've seen it, and I saw how just terrible that app is and what people are doing on it, and I don't really want to be on there. But anyway, if you got one, then that's wonderful, and use it for the good, because they're getting to our youth. They understand that you need to get into the minds of the youth in order to change things, and be able to push their agenda further, which there's one more thing I feel like I can't talk about without being freaking coined and dubbed, but it's all a part of the NWO, and nobody wants to get into that. I feel like maybe it's just way too much for some people because they barely started their research. So yeah, I understand. I'm trying to sympathize with you, but you know what? If I am posting on things that I'm currently learning about, and it's no excitement, it's just like, I speak on things, by the way, that are affecting us in our health where we have no say. That's when you'll find me speaking out. Do I care if somebody is going and getting plastic surgery done? No, plastic surgery isn't being forced on me, okay? It's not. Do I care that some of you like Botox? No. If I do a Botox talk, it's going to be, let's go over ingredients and side effects, and that's it. But I don't care if you want to go and get that done, because there is nobody at my door currently forcing Botox into my body and forcing any of this stuff into my system, okay? Toxic breast implants, I feel like if I did an entire talk on that, because I've got so much information that I think women need to know about, in terms all the approved ingredients, and you're finding levels of things, and women don't even know what the heavy metal toxic ingredients are in breast implants. And I just feel like you have the right to know, but I'd probably get dumped on. But so my thing is a lot of the stuff that I share because it's affecting our health, and I don't get a say. That's why I talk about what's going on in the skies. That's why I talk about what's going on with these Gwen Towers and what's going, nobody can deny that EMFs are actually hurting us and hurting our health and hurting our children. You can't deny it. Why do you think we have Defender shields? Why do you think we have things to protect from EMFs? You sit in front of a Wi-Fi router for a little bit too long and your face starts feeling like it's tingling and about to burn off sometimes. It affects your health. What makes you think it's not affecting the rest of your body? So I only can control what's happening in my household. But when I go outside, if I got to go shopping or if I got to go pick up these things are being put up all around schools and they're affecting us and our health. So I feel like that's a fight. That's a cause worth fighting for, that's worth my attention because I don't have a say in that. You guys, it's hard to go out and really enjoy anything anymore when you're awake to all of this. So, you move out to the woods and they'll start a fire to move you out into the city. They've designed some of these things to look like trees for a reason, right? Because if they didn't put, and it's a fake tree. So you're looking at it going, not a tree. Hashtag, not a tree. But start the campaign. We got to point out what's a real tree and what's not a real tree anymore to these kids. Not a tree, not a tree. But why do they make it look like a tree? Why do they go the extra mile to make it look like a fake tree? Well, because if they didn't, that shit would look terrifying. Because it is terrifying. And guys have to go up there in their hazmat suits to install these things. And you go a little bit close to them and your face is feeling like it's fried off. And then go down further into the rabbit hole and you'll notice that a lot of the richer communities don't have them up. Or don't have as many of them up. And people are like, coincidence is not a coincidence. It's just not. But you have an entire group of people that are continuing, they do nothing more all day long but work towards mass manipulation and brainwashing of the populace. And it sucks that I feel like I can't even talk about this stuff, They've convinced, what the real weapons of mass destruction are currently that are going on besides the GMOs, the drugs, the alcohol, vaccines. Consider a lot of these things FDA approved, by the way. And they're disguising these things as superficially harmless. It's just if you need to get extra, especially with the alcohol thing. There's such a push on there. And I hate this because I used to really, really, really enjoy red wine. I really did. I loved it. And, but then now every time I see the ads and I see just all the pop-ups of that life, that whole mom, it's 5:00. It's time I can't even deal with my own kids anymore. That's how annoying my kids are. And it's this push now of this and admittedly, I found some of those memes back then kind of funny. I was like, oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, a lot of moms feel that way. But it's this, now I'm finding a lot of it sick. I don't know if many of you guys feel the same way, but there's this it's kind of sick that they're glorifying, your kids are an annoyance and, you can't even deal with your kids. You need this wine at the end of the day in order to just mother your own children. So I don't like it. There's a lot of things I'm trying to break away. I don't like social media grief nowadays. I find it really weird and off-putting. I think I spoke on this already a couple of weeks ago. Don't like it. People, I think, forgot how to properly grieve. Somebody that you love passes away. that you really, really loved passes away, there is a lot that's happening to your body, to your psyche, that you need to be able to process properly. You need to be able to process properly. And that means breaking away from it. Like, if you have to lock yourself in a room for a week to just cry and let that out, like, that is 100 times healthier than feeling like you owe it to a public of strangers to explain in a bunch of paragraphs your feelings. Do you even know your feelings and what's happening to you? Can you even put that into words when your baby is dying or just died? So no judgment, just I don't like it. And I don't like that my kids have to grow up in a world like this where that's how people are feeling. That you gotta explain yourself in such a way. But anyways, at the end of the day, alcohol, you guys, like, guilty. It's like, oh, there's grapes in there. Grapes have antioxidants in the skin, especially the red grape. Like, there's antioxidants in the skin of grapes. And so it's like, I'm reading some of my old posts going, bitch, then just eat grapes. You don't have to drink the wine. You just eat the grapes. If grapes have so many antioxidants in the skin, you don't need it in the glass of wine to get the same antioxidants. You know what I mean? But they've really glamorized that. And that's why I don't judge you, because once again, nobody is forcing any of this stuff onto you, right? But at the end of the day, they're very dangerous poisons. You can't be guzzling your wine at 5 o'clock at night, wondering if, like, taking CBD oil is safe. Like, you just can't, because alcohol is actually poison. The part that gets you drunk and tipsy and forgetting about, like, all of this madness, that part is actually poison. No judgment. But a lot of these things that they're suggesting onto our kids and onto us, they've been suggesting this from the cradle, and they do it to the grave. So I just feel like I constantly have to preface that I don't judge, and I'm also very much a broken person, because I seriously used to love wine. But one of my favorite things about wine, because by the time you get to the second glass, right, you're just trying to forget about stuff, right? Then you don't even act the same. You know, I can't drink vodka. I haven't been allowed to drink vodka for like a decade now. Jeff just is like, you're not allowed to drink vodka. Because why? What does vodka do to me? When I drink vodka, gosh, 13 years ago, Jeff and I were starting to date, and we were at a cabin in Tahoe. It was a group of us. We all did like a snowboarding trip, and I had way too much to drink that night. I drank a lot of vodka, and I got violent. I got really violent. People didn't even recognize that person. And when people told me what I did the next day, I was like, no, I thought they were all lying. I thought they were all making it up. I didn't realize that I had like punched somebody in the face. And the somebody I punched was Jeff. And I was like in love with him and trying to like, you know, get him to really like me. So, like, there's a reason why, you know, you're going how and why, but it's legal. It's perfectly legal to drink vodka. But it does that to people, you know? Guilty. I was, like, able to drink, and I was guilty of... Guys, I'm seeing a trend here. There's all these moms that are drinking this thing called elderberry. It's, like, already 6-7 years ago. Is that shit safe? Okay? Not perfect. But I was like, is that safe? I was going through my Facebook timeline nights ago to try to find old vaccine posts that I had where, yeah, there were crickets, and see if any of those friends that did comment on there before that were against me, if they were still around, because I was just curious. And I ended up just laughing with Jeff that night at a bunch of my other posts. Like, there was a lot of other dumb shit I posted. And I was like, man, I've really grown Like, I'm really proud of myself at how I've grown. You know, right before I gave birth to Amelia, I had this status update on Facebook where I was saying, I'm going to be shocked if my daughter comes out of me not looking like a $6 burger. Because that's all I ate. I was at Carl's Jr. like 4 times a week eating those $6 teriyaki burgers. So yeah, we were just there and we ended up laughing. And then he said something to me that was really discouraging. He's like, oh, you know, if people go through this and they find some of your old posts, they're totally going to like try to judge you. And he's just like, dude, okay. So now I'm like, well, what? That's funny. That was before I was really woke to all of this stuff. But yeah, I guess he's right. That's how people are, you know? That's how people are. I guess I'm going to lose all credibility right now because I used to eat KFC Double Downs 9 years ago while pregnant. You know those Double Downs? Those are the ones that like no bread. It's literally like breaded chicken, melted cheese, bacon, breaded chicken. And it's like 1,500 calories. And it was delightful at the time. And I would sit there and I'd eat a bunch of those. And the guy, you know, it's bad. The guys at the drive-thru used to know who I was. They knew my order. And one guy was like, you know, because I go, well, there's none of those like starches. There's no starch in that, like no bread. So it's got to be somewhat healthy, right? And he's like, yeah, you didn't include any of the bread. Do you want to add potato wedges? And I was like, yeah, throw in some of those potato wedges. We got to make this a complete balanced meal. So we all have to start somewhere. It's just when you are awake to this now and then you see it. And a lot of the times, guys, when I'm posting stuff that irks me, it's because I remember the girl that used to somewhat be there too. You know? Don't get me wrong. I always was anti-needles and being injected. That never sat well with me. I feel like most of us as kids, that doesn't sit well with children. But children are taught, don't follow your gut. You know, like that's kind of already ingrained in us. But I never liked it. I never liked the concept of I have to inject myself in order to feel better. I was always like, I'll take my chances. So yes, when I realized that there was a growing group of people that were questioning the safety and, you know, of this product that I did not want to take and I did not want to give to my kids in the future. I didn't even have kids yet, but I was like, I don't want my kids to go through that. I got excited about it. It excited me, you know? But yes, I do agree. Some of these posts, you're just like, wait, piece it together. But, you know, when I joke, guys, it's a joke. I guess it's a personality thing at the end of the day. And yes, I think I saw some of those people asking above in the comments. I am an 8, and I've only started looking into what that even means recently. But Chick-fil-A has MSG and everything. That bothered me. I got really sad about that fact, you know? Granted, I've been taking such great strides in order to be healthy lately. So that's why I'm like, I'm not going to, if you're not there yet, it's fine. I don't judge you. I understand. I really understand. But this is an interesting time we're living in right now. It's interesting. Because I'm not there yet in my life where I feel like, okay, I'm old enough, I've been through it all, and I can now give these words of wisdom to people. I'm just like stumbling as I go. Like, guys, look at this. I used to take this. I used to eat this. Look at how effed up it is. Like, guys, have you heard about this? This is a main ingredient. That, like, that's what I'm going through here. So it's like broken, flawed human being. You know? Anyway. Okay, this thing's going to kick me off, and hopefully it saves, and then we can chat about a couple other things. So I'll be back.